some people.
I told you guys. You cry. I can't forget about you.
All right, so get your notes out, and we have rest of period talk about homework. So, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about a home. Where's my textbook? What's the difference between arcsine and inverse sine? Yeah, inverse sine are same thing as arcsine. So sine inverse of x are equivalent to arc sine of x.
What does the arc stand for?
Arc just how far I open. So once you arc something, you're gonna find out the angle of that side, that triangle, that right triangle, how far I'm opening. Okay? So question about this part. You guys should know this, right? Do you guys know what is the arcsine restriction and arctan restriction and arccosine restriction? Yeah. So sine inverse, it has pretty much this quadrant to this quadrant, and then also tan inverse. And for arc, it's gonna be right here. So cosine inverse of x. So that's a restriction. You don't pass that. So therefore, I have a question for you. What is arc sine of negative half? What do you think is this? Think back in unit circles. I know Roman knows. Rihanna knows? Rihanna doesn't know? What is it?
Wait. Sine, right?
Yeah.
Where's this cosine inverse? Sine inverse. Oh yeah, what?
Negative pi over 6, good.
Were you like, acting like you were dying?
You got negative pi over 6? Okay, so you should get negative pi over 6. Good job, Rihanna.
Thank you.
It cannot be 11 pi over 6 because it's not within the restriction. And it's not 7 pi over 6, it's also not in the restriction. So it has to be negative pi over 6 because it cannot pass the restriction part. So we should know that. Let me give you another one. How about tan inverse of negative 1? So Sheridan is going to answer this one. You can do it. How about Natasha? Can you help out your friend Shirley?
Is it negative pi over 4?
Perfect. Can you explain to Shirley why it's negative pi over 4?
Yeah.
Sit over there.
Question about this part. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you a question like a trigonometry equation. So I'm gonna say arc tan of 2x minus 3 is equal to pi over 4. So we can solve for x. So those are the simple equations that we did. We didn't do this in pre-calc, I don't think so. But you can know how to get rid of arc10. How do I get rid of arc10? You cannot inverse of an inverse.
It's not. Oh, it's already so.
You just, and you cannot divide it by arc10, by the way. Just take 10 on both sides. So 10 on both sides of arc 10 of 2x minus 3. That's equal to 10 of pi over 4. So those are cancel out each other because they are inverse each other. So tangent to pi over 4, we already know that is what? 1. So it'll be 2x minus 3. 2x equal to 4. X is equal to 2. So that's going to be that way. X is equal to 2. That's it.
Mr. Yoshi, move the camera down a little.
What down?
I can't see the person.
You want to move your seat?
No, not me. Never mind.
The camera.
Just other people. Other people.
They can see the board. Question about this part.
No, I know the face is folded.
Give us hard codes. Hard cotangent.
Question about this part. Everybody got this? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about y equal to sine inverse of x. Okay? So we're going to talk about y is equal to sine inverse of x. First of all, you had to be able to draw a right triangle. So how do I able to draw a right triangle? There's a right triangle occur right here. A lot of you guys think about y. So for what I mean is I'm thinking about some type of angle. Okay. I'll wait until Natasha finishes explaining. It's okay, you can finish.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this sine inverse or arcsine is going to give you some type of angle, right?
Yeah.
So y is representing the angle. Does that make sense? So then I can use this to draw a right triangle. Okay? So the right triangle is going to be this, and this is going to be the y angle. Are we okay? And this is x over 1, so x is what? This, which one?
Opposite.
Opposite, right? You done this in pre-calc, I'm pretty sure. In my class you did, I don't know about other people's class.
Yep.
This is x.
Yep.
Okay, hypotenuse is what?
1.
1. So we're gonna call this side a z. Because we don't know what a z, we don't want to confuse with x and y and stuff like that, we're just gonna call it z. But we're gonna find out what a z is. So z squared is equal to what? A z squared plus x squared, that's equal to 1. Right? David, that's what we learned
Yeah.
that back then. So z squared is equal to 1 minus x squared. And z is equal to square root of 1 minus x squared. So this one is square root of 1 minus x squared. Now we're going to erase that z now because we already found z. We got square root of 1 minus x squared. Now this is a very easy thing. So now we're going to talk about the proof of arcsine. So the derivative. So we're going to take about this function. We're going to take a derivative with respect to x. So we're going to talk about all the skill we know here. So we're going to have this. Y is equal to sine inverse of x. And we know, how do I get rid of sine inverse? Sine both sides, right? So that's going to give you sine y is equal to x. Would you agree? Now, can I take a derivative with respect to x?
Yep. You can.
If I take a derivative with respect to x, what am I going to get? What's the derivative of sine y? With respect to x, though.
I'll say good.
Cosine. Okay, cosine what? Y, and then times what? The chain rule. So once you take a derivative of the sine, you got to take a derivative of y now. What's the chain rule? Of these? Yep. What is it? dy dx. Because you're taking derivative of the sine, that's cosine y, and then take a derivative inside y with respect to x, it's going to be dy dx. What is x? What's the derivative of x? 1. So dy dx is equal to 1 over cosine y, would you say? Okay, so what's the nice thing in this? dy dx is 1 over cosine y, but that's not what it is.
What's y?
So what is cosine of y? But let's go back to look at what a cosine of y is. What is cosine of y? Cosine of y is equal to what? Adjacent over hypotenuse, right? So what's adjacent? Square root of 1 minus x squared over 1. So therefore, square root of 1 minus x squared. So now I can say e is equal to 1 over 1 minus x squared. Okay, so now you know dy dx. So if I take derivative with respect to x, dy dx here, I'm going to get exactly, so dy d to the dx of sine inverse of x is equal to 1 over square root 1 minus x squared. What I want you to do, I want you to take a derivative of tangent. Okay, using the same thing. There's only two things I ask you to know. So I want you to take a derivative of the tangent inverse of x. Use the exact same thing of what we did. Let's see if you can come up with the equation. Fifth period, I didn't ask them to come up with equation. Now I'm going to ask you to come up with equation. But if you do it right, then the answer is in front of you. To all those fake IB students. Sadat, Emilio, Joseph, who else? Raphael, Daniel. Who else? Elizabeth. Alden. Elizabeth and Alden. What a coincidence. Are they studying together? Or are they actually studying? Who else? Monak. Monak. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, no.
See that over there?
I think, well, actually, no. I thought I got it, but I think we are alone.
Okay. But I don't know if you're looking at the
Okay, so.
I tell you something funny happened yesterday at 6th period.
Just look. Look.
You didn't want to hear my funny story?
I want to know your funny story.
Cosine
No, tell us
y.
about her.
Yeah, this whole thing is.
We're like besties.
She liked gossip, so she was staying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got something. I'm still working on it.
So yesterday was there was a 6th period. There was a black student. His name is Kevin, and he's sitting all the way in the back. And I was like, Kevin, I don't want a black man sitting back in my classroom.
Monsieur, sit down before you continue.
Yeah,
This is on tape, just let you know.
No, I already recorded that. It's actually happened on live stream.
Oh my gosh, so I
So-
can go back and watch it?
No. So he was in the back, and I tried to tell him Rosa Parks died for him, and he's sitting in the back of the classroom. That just doesn't make sense.
Wait, what happened? I missed it.
Wait,
Rosa
Rosa
Parks
Parks
didn't
didn't
die.
die.
Wait, I missed it.
She died of old age.
Who died?
Yeah, but she sacrificed herself.
Rosa Parks is
What
not
happened?
Jesus.
I missed it.
Oh,
Mr. Ye, what happened? I missed it.
he was sitting in the back of the classroom. That's literally it.
He was sitting in the back of the classroom. I just trying to tell him to move in the front. And I says, I don't want a black man sitting in the back.
And then what?
I want you to move to the front.
Rosa Parks died for you. I'm done.
She was arrested though, so I
She was arrested. She sacrificed herself. So I don't think I was being offensive. I was trying to state a fact.
Mr. Front will be proud.
Huh?
Mr. Front will be proud.
Okay. Natasha, are you proud of me?
Yes, Natasha, I still hate you. I just thought I'd remind you.
Look, because you're adding, you're not subtracting.
What
This is
happened?
tangent, so it's not this. Look.
You told her.
Okay, what you get for dy dx?
1 over the square.
1 over 1 plus x squared.
What happened to the square root?
There's no square root because you pay attention. Pay attention. Your triangle constructed differently now. So y is equal to 10 inverse of x, right? So now I'm going to have a triangle. This side is the x. This side is the 1, right? So what's this side?
Because you're adding them.
Square root of what? X squared plus 1? And this is a y, right? So if I take a derivative here, I'm gonna do 10y is equal to x. And I'm gonna take a derivative of this, so secant square y dy dx, right? That's equal to 1. So dy dx is equal to 1 over secant square of y. Does that make sense? So that is equal to it's equal to secant. Secant is what? What is secant of theta is equal to? Hypotenuse over adjacent.
You're switching to cosine first.
So hypotenuse over adjacent. So hypotenuse is going to be square root of x squared plus 1. And then squared. So it's equal to 1 over x squared plus 1. So d to the dx of 10 of the inverse of x is equal to 1 over x squared plus 1. So that's how you take a derivative of tangent. So now here's the thing, the formula's over there. I'm going to rewrite on that side so I can show the screen.
Or you just move the camera.
Like to, but that's bad handwriting there. So I'm trying to do a better job for all the skippers. Skippers. How do you study for SAT? Study reading.
Can't. Mr. Yang, how many times did you take that grammar section again? Or not grammar, the reading section?
What?
Remember you said you kept taking the reading section over and over again?
About 6 times?
Yeah.
That-
No, they don't want to do that, so they're studying.
Yeah, and I studied 6 times, and what happened? I got 380. So that just proved the point. There's no point of studying reading.
Can I do that? Can I take that subway?
You can practice math though. Okay, so what is the derivative of sine inverse of u? Well, that's basically just u prime of square root of 1 minus u squared. D to the dx of tangent of inverse of u, basically u prime over 1 plus u squared. So this is the one that often show on the test. The other one is not that important. I'm almost not going to test you. Almost. So more likely I probably won't test you. So derivative of secant u is equal to u prime over absolute value of u square root of, I don't even remember this, u squared minus 1. So that's just to prove to you I'm not going to test that. But so some of you guys want to be overachiever, can remember that, I don't care. Okay, so here's the other one that it's not memorization. So the complement of this is going to be negative u prime over square root 1 minus u squared. Do you see that just a negative sign compared to the sign? Cotan, sorry. This one's cotan. U is going to be u prime over square root 1 plus u squared. So again, you just memorize those two, you know those two, because they are, just to put a negative sign in front of it. D to the dx of C as C's inverse of U is gonna be negative U prime over absolute value U square root of U squared minus 1. Questions? So here's a question I'm gonna ask you to take a derivative of. How do I take a derivative of arc 10 of 3x? So how do I take derivative of arc 10 of 3x? According to the formula, you have to do u is equal to 3x, and there was u prime is equal to what? But I will tell you, the only one I'm going to test is Arcsine and Arctan. That's more often tested than the other one.
Well, yeah, okay.
At least that's a very clumsy move.
Wait.
Well, we know you are clumsy.
Yeah.
Who's clumsier? You or Julia?
You got a whole concussion, so.
Okay, technically that wasn't
Well,
my
yeah,
fault.
that wasn't her fault.
Rihanna's
Yeah,
pretty
always all
clumsy.
Yeah, I think Rihanna's more.
Rihanna's pretty clumsy.
She just easily started.
Can you take a derivative of arc10 of 3x?
No.
Follow the formula. The formula has already given it to you.
Those formulas?
Yes. Please do try.
Tuesday, guys.
My pencil.
Factor infinite ones.
Did you guys get it? Natasha, you get it?
Yes,
Finished?
yeah.
What'd you get?
3 over 1 plus 9x squared.
Perfect. You just follow the formula. So this is du, so it's gonna be 3 over 1 plus 3x parentheses squared. So it's equal to 3 over 1 plus 3x 9x squared. So here's my question to you. My question is, one of the homework question was 64. 64 says y equal to 3x sine inverse of x, and I want half, and pi over 4, can you find the equation tangent line?
No. I cannot.
You can do it.
Well, that's inspiring. I'm inspired. I'm gonna try it now.
Wow.
And then that's it, we're done, so you can go back to do the homework that you're supposed to be doing yesterday. Good, you got everything? You need help on anything?
There's some of the integration that
Okay, so post on the board on that side, erase it, post on the board.
You're on low battery. Your fans aren't gonna be able to see you.
I got you, shit, don't worry.
What a hero. Just be who you are.
That looks wrong. We got the same thing.
The answer is y minus pi over 4 is equal to pi over 2 plus square root 3 and x minus.
This is what happened.
Julie, are you okay?
I got good news, sir.
Ready? What's the news?
Oh, I thought it was gonna be a really hard practice day, and I was like really stressing about it, but it's actually gonna be like good one. Do you guys even have that? Yeah.
Practice what?
No, wait, no, actually. What? You literally don't do anything in this call. Maybe I'll no, did you not see the fly? It went right up to my face and looked me in the eye and said,
Oh, do you?
your fingernail and you said,
Do you remember that the kid's book, Fly?
Fly Guy? Yeah,
Fly Guy.
You referenced that earlier on this year, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fly Guy. You never know Fly Guy?
No, I had a deprived.
Anybody ever watch Fly Guy when they grow up? Fly Guy, the book, the children's book. Nobody see Fly Guy? You seen that? Classic. Captain Underpants.
I just never read it. I actually
Captain Underpants.
was on her page. You can't see the same thing.
The Roman's like, holy crap. Captain Underpants is my favorite. George, what's his name? George?
Curious George.
Not Curious George, but in the Captain Underpants is.
Do you remember Judy Jones? Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
the B stands for.
The B stands for Beatrice. She was such a legend. I just still keep that up. It's almost like live, like.
Oh, it's not
not?
right.
You want me to not? Huh?
Here, put the filter on it.
You're gonna break. I can't even curse anymore.
Wait, you don't have a filter on it?
That hit me.
Can I throw a textbook at a thing?
Okay, guys, behind the scenes.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, the math party. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Well, you played yourself with that one.
I hit my head on him. So it hurt. Oh, you have one viewer. They're seeing their party.
No. We need to see Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Look. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, where are you?
Not here.
Oh, bubbly.
Yeah.
This is one we had on you.